Good day, everybody. I'm Shmee, and I make guides for Path of Exile. Today I'm back with something a little bit different. I've had some sketchy internet the past few days and haven't been able to play, so instead what I'm going to go for you guys is I'm going to show you live and play through a map exactly what I've been experiencing with this build and some of the adjustments that I've made to it. Now, the build itself was originally based on Stormbrand of Indecision and Arc of Oscillating, but from what I've found is that you really don't need the pack clear help from Arc of Oscillating. Stormbrand of Indecision does just fine on its own, and you guys will see when we get into a map. Because of that, I ended up swapping out Arc of Oscillating for Crackling Lance, something that we can target just on single target damage. Now, something that's kind of interesting about Crackling Lance, you actually should use the Intensify support when you're using Crackling Lance. It seems like they would either be unnecessary or not work together because they both have different things that talk about intensity. But the funny thing is, the Crackling Lance gem kind of overrides the area changes on the intensity gem, similar to if you've ever used Scorching Ray. Instead, you only get to take this increased area damage with hits per intensity from the Intensify support gem. All the area stuff doesn't really matter. You also get extra intensity when you cast, which is nice, but for the most part, this just boils down to, I think it's a 42% more damage multiplier. Now, even better, and here you can see the skill tree that we have so far, I was initially going to go out here so that I could take static blows, and I likely still will take that in the build, but the next thing that I need to get here is unlocking mental rapidity so that I can take the caster mastery for a 4th intensity. I'm actually considering taking stuff out of the build, purity of flesh, but that was a little scary. I don't want to go down on life. What we have here for our supports is we have Stormbrand of Indecision, Swift Brand, Lightning Penetration, Power Charge on critical, and added lightning damage. The funny thing was initially here I had the faster casting support, but it turns out you get so much cast speed from the build that you're actually better off adding damage directly to the Stormbrand. Now I have Crackling Lance with Intensify and faster casting and Arcane Surge, and I'm also using Orb of Storms so that I can apply Conductivity as well as Innervate when it kills shocked enemies. It's also nice for clearing when I have to stop and kill a tough rare. Now this right here, I'm actually using Herald of Thunder and Clarity. So if I turn on Wrath, I don't have enough mana to actually use my skills right now. The reason I have this equipped is because I want to level it up, and I also have access here to the Sovereignty Cluster, so I actually could start putting a 3rd aura in, which likely would beat out static blows for the next part. I still need to work on that, and I still need to test it. I think I'm done talking. Let's just go ahead and get into a map so that I can show you how some of this works. You can see here, some of my gear is pretty good. Valakos Sign's very nice, but my weapon is absolute garbage. Now, the kind of funny thing about that is that I can either use a Tornado Wand, which would be better for directly adding spell damage, lightning spell damage that is, but I think what's going to be best for my 6th link will be picking up a Scepter that has as much added lightning damage as possible so that I can use the Spellblade support. Now here's another funny thing that I brought up with my build, is that we are spec'd in the Atlas into both Delirium and Blight, but we are not taking the permanent Delirium. So when we go into a map and there's a Mirror of Delirium, we get a bit of a race. We want this to be still going when we activate a Blight encounter, if there is a Blight encounter in this map. So we're going to go through and we're going to speedrun as best as we can. But what I'm going to show you here is that Stormbrand of Indecision, that's pretty much all you need to do your pack clearing. It just rips through everything. Hopefully we can get a Blight encounter so that I can show you the best part. When you have Blight and Delirium both active, then you actually get your Blight minions counting for your Delirium counter. But the funny thing is, and this was something that was changed in the most recent patch, if you have 2 timed events going on, only one of the timers will count. So if we can activate a Blight encounter before this Delirium encounter expires, the counter for Delirium just stays put. And I've had maps where I cleared almost the entire map purely because I had a Delirium mirror with a Blight encounter right next to it. But as you can see here going through this, Stormbrand's really all you need. Stormbrand of Indecision, that is. It's kind of similar to Armageddon Brand, if you've ever played a build with Armageddon Brand. And all I'm using here is I just want Crackling Lance on single target. Sadly, it's not looking like we're going to get a Blight encounter in this map, though. We get an Expedition encounter instead. Great. One thing I think is kind of funny, despite how wildly mediocre all my gear is, I'm actually doing quite a lot of damage. And I'm just getting started. It'd be kind of crazy once this build gets to around the 90s. One thing that is a little frustrating, it's really nice to use Arc of Oscillation, because Arc of Oscillation has a bit of an auto-targeting to it, whereas you actually have to pay attention and aim with Crackling Lance. But pretty easy burn through on this map. You can see here, like I said, my gear, this I'm just using because I don't think I want to keep using it. I need to find a decent pair of gloves. This I will be keeping. The leech is just awesome on it. My weapon, total garbage. My helmet's pretty good. My body armor's pretty good, but I need to get my 6-link going. The only piece of gear I really like is my boots. I have a decent shield, but I need to replace this with a DPS caster shield. And same thing here in my rings. There's my amulet. It's just stuff that's generically good. Now, there is one more thing I want to talk about with this build, and it's kind of funny. It's a really nasty drawback to the build. You have a ton of different active skill gems that all have relevant quality. All of your golem gems, you get more buff effect if you have the quality increase. Crackling Lance, you get an increase to that damage multiplier. And then here on Orb of Storms, I can't remember what it is, but all of your qualities are very, very, very important. So you end up having to push a whole bunch of different quality. Now, I have 42 gem cutters for prisms, but that's a complete waste. So from here, what I'm going to be doing is I'm instead going to start going and running as many of the labyrinths as I can so that I can start pushing all that quality onto my skill gems. And then the other thing that I still need to do is these Wildwood Primalist Ascendancies. I still need to kill the King of the Mists, and for the charms that I do have, they're not bad, they're just not good at all. It's basic, whatever I found when I originally got them. So I have an increased golem buff, elemental penetration, but really it's just nothing special. So I'm going to go ahead and get to work doing a whole bunch of labyrinth runs, and then I'm going to start doing some more maps where I'm specifically looking for the King of the Mists and getting better charms. I'll have my next update for you as soon as possible. But otherwise, have a good day. Thank you for watching, and take care, Exiles.